The OC essentially offered us yet another pat on the back, and just what does that mean? It can't be that inexpensive, though. Greetings again to an additional episode that you must listen to. The content in this document is included because it reiterates what is said in other documents regarding intraday liquidity and supply and demand. The material we will cover in today's video will be shocking, so buckle up for this one. OCC, who are these people considering that none of you are still living and that they have been around since 1863? They've been around longer than the Federal Reserve, and since all the Federal Reserve does is print money, I'll take whatever they have to say over them. What they do is oversee and regulate all national banks and federal savings accounts. We will witness a significant change in Ripple in 2024, and U.S. banks will no longer be using XRP. Not just one, but several of them. Spiral this year, Ripple predicts that banks will utilize XRP. Claimed that with partial success in the SEC, U.S. banks will want to utilize XRP. The attorney expressed optimism that a lot of interactions with customers will take place in the United States this quarter and that some of those conversations will result in genuine business. Additionally, true business entails actual financial gain, significant utility, and they won't rise merely because XRP was ruled not to be a security. And begin utilizing XRP. These people don't move like that. These guys are really important. Significant, high-value companies that prefer to proceed deliberately and at their speed. Open your eyes and pay attention to what the OCC has to say. The author of this is the head of OCC knows XRP will play a major role. By Michael True, who is the head of the OCC. Let's start with what he said. Compatibility between blockchains using a stablecoin, and if you saw yesterday's video, you already know how large this is going to get. There are several blockchains with stablecoins. Ethereum, Solana, Tron, Elgrin, the blockchains in question are incompatible. Each train gauge is unique to a blockchain. So to speak, since several blockchains have various dependencies and cryptography and are created in various coding languages, among other things, pay attention to his words. This is what we always say on this channel. You require both depth and what's known as intraday liquidity, or deep liquidity. Risk is especially problematic when it comes to traditional banking's daily operations. The term liquidity risk describes the danger connected to many with time payments. Let's assume a bank gets a $100 million payment at 3 p.m. and makes a $100 million payment at 9 a.m. The bank's end-of-day liquidity position would be flat on an intraday basis, but if the 3 p.m. payment hadn't arrived, the bank would have had $100 million less in liquidity at the end of the day. For this reason, I believe that USDC has a 100% place to play, though I'm not sure if it can play at the institutional level given its current structure. Thus, when I discuss the $1 trillion that we process each night, the multi-trillion-dollar doll is the problem that XRP and Ripple are attempting to tackle. Issue, and it makes sense that would ask for a large market capitalization. Now, how could we have overlooked this? Take heed of what C says. Joanne Strobel, he heard the court say, listen here. Very attentively, since this is a significant matter. I will analyze what she says, and I will put a fourth there. I'll explain why I'm adding a fourth in a bit. However, I would include predictability. Correct, therefore knowing the price first and foremost, speed is crucial. Particularly for a bank in the U.S., which I'll discuss in a moment. That's true, however, I believe the expense is also, in my opinion, an extremely challenging thing to accomplish for many of the reasons France claimed that we are in an open network with correspondence. In the banking industry, processing payments generally requires several organizations in multiple jurisdictions. In an open network, controlling the end-to-end cost can be extremely challenging. Discover how technology can enable any financial institution on Earth to quickly and affordably settle with any other financial institution in a jurisdiction that is suitable for them, using any asset in just a few seconds. Anybody who has made a payment knows that we're nowhere near that today, but imagine every financial institution settling with every other financial institution in seconds for less than a penny. Any fundamentally transformative asset can be done with current technology. We just need to figure out how to drive adoption. We have multiple entities in multiple jurisdictions to settle with, along with every other financial institution in a compatible jurisdiction. Just think about it. In addition, speed is important for all the reasons we discussed with batch processes. We are not a 24/7 organization. We're not even 24 by 5, and frequently less than that, from an RTG standpoint, correct? I am aware that there is global proliferation, am I right? There are a good 30 or so instant payment networks in the world, but the majority of them are domestic, with very few exceptions. Some do transcend borders, but that is not the case with the majority. The exception rather than the rule, so I believe that speed is challenging for that reason. However, since I work for a U.S. bank, specifically a retail bank, I will address this from a U.S. perspective a little bit more. I added predictability because U.S. banks that facilitate cross-border remittances for their clients, whether they be small businesses or retailers, must adhere to a regulation known as DODF. Joan, Frank 1073 kind of stops you, but you're being complained about for the Dodd-Frank Act is critical. We need to take a brief break to go over and discuss the Frank Act, which was put into effect in 2013. Now that everyone is using this act and is on board, have a look at this Ripple Solutions Guide. This is from 2016, but I wanted to show you how early on we were in this and how financial institutions could comply with us thanks to Ripple Connect's main capacity. In addition to meeting the criteria of the travel rule, it permits upfront price agreements to support Section 1073 of the document's regulations on prepayment disclosure obligations. As I always say on this channel, since the beginning, the goal of Ripple and XRP was to disrupt the financial sector, and their vision for XRP wasn't for retail. Frank acts in direct two-way communication between sending and receiving financial institutions, allowing for the secure transfer of additional data about the payment, its sender, and its recipient. Holders believe that Bitcoin is available to everyone, but XRP's goal is to employ digitalized XRP to solve a use case. XRP was designed with banks in mind, that's why it's also referred to as a banker's coin by everyone. Since Ripple entered this market in an attempt to address a major issue with the financial system and caused waves at the enterprise, they leverage XRP, a digital currency, to make high-scale payments, and they're only discussing costs now since John will address them shortly. Consider examining Ethereum. This was only the gas prices on the Ethereum network are absurd as of the last day. In addition to moving $740, which is more than the legacy systems the current banking system utilizes, $74 is also moving $80, as we have a $79 network fee. This is enormous, and there's more. Once more, all of this occurred in the last 24 hours. There is now an additional $98 gas fee on Ethereum. This approach is simply unworkable. Even if it's already known that I sound like a broken record, I have every confidence that you are all aware of this. The financial infrastructure will not accept payments using Bitcoin or Ethereum. Joanne, you take over now. How could we have overlooked this? Take note of her remarks. And by that rule, we must give our clients a notification before we transfer the money if a conversion occurs and we are aware of it. We will know the entire payment cost experience, the nature of the conversion, and the amount that will be provided at that rate. Predictability regarding the beneficiary's receipt of funding, including the currency in which it will be given and the timing of its delivery, is crucial and cannot be compromised. You can't achieve transparency unless you have some of these tenets in place. Therefore, I do believe that you can't achieve openness without having some of these tenets. The main challenge at the moment is the cost, even though the XRP ledger has a ton of functionality and will soon add many more. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, they, along with the AM and the D, will all be essential for the XRP ledger, especially with the banks joining on board. I truly value every one of you. Please let me know what you think. They're all in this together, according to the comments underneath. Rapid or 3OC. The Federal Reserve tells the IMF about 300 banks and payment processors, and the tipping point is approaching. with the idea that cryptocurrency liquidity would someday be able to allow stable international payments, we began Outro, creating ripples. Enormous sums of money. When the market matures, RPPL.net was meant to allow users to transition to ODL since they would be able to profit from our fiber-based network. Sufficient, and this is just what's taking place. CLI the switch is, I believe, what we're constructing. Are you aware that it addresses a genuine issue? And I believe that each token represents my advice. If genuine usefulness and value are being provided to a real consumer, then there will be value in the token, as anyone might comprehend.